Okay, for the second part of the Chapter 8 material, I'm going to talk about the student loans, home buying, and the stocks question just a little bit. For student loans, first thing you need to pay attention to is the difference between the terms subsidized and unsubsidized, okay? If a loan is subsidized, that means that the government is taking care of the interest while the student is in school plus the 6-month deferment period, okay? So I put a smiley face next to that one. Subsidized makes us smile because that means interest we don't have to pay. Unsubsidized means that even if we don't owe while we are in school, we are still accruing interest. So the principal at the end of our deferment period after we graduate is going to be higher than what we started with because it has gained interest, okay? The other thing is capitalizing. When we capitalize, that means that we do not have to pay the interest as we go, okay? If we don't, then that means, we're making payments as we go, but that keeps that extra interest cost down. So for this example, let's say that Maria is taking out a $30,000 loan for college, standard, for graduating 3 years and 9 months later, plus a 6-month deferment period, starting in August, going to May. 5.4 is her interest rate, and let's say that it is unsubsidized so that we can do a little more computation, okay? If it were subsidized, the answer to the question, how much would she owe when she graduates, would still be $30,000, okay? But because this is unsubsidized, we need to do a little bit more math, okay? Now, to find the balance of her loan at the end of her deferment period, okay, again, that ends up being 4 full years plus 3 more months, usually September, October, November, after she takes out the loan, okay, can be found a couple of different ways. The first option, and this is the way that's first shown in the book, is we can find the daily interest, okay, and then multiply that times however many days in the months for those additional 3 months plus the 4 years total, okay? So for the daily interest, for the daily interest, we're multiplying the $30,000, okay, times the interest rate, which is 0.054, okay? We're not multiplying times any amount of time because we're just looking in 1 year, so T is essentially 1. That's from the simple interest formula. And we're dividing by 365.25. The 0.25 is for leap year. Okay, so that comes out to be about $4.44, okay? So every day that she is in school, her loan is adding $4.44 to the balance, okay? To find the amount at the end of her 4 years plus those additional 3 months, okay, we could either take the 444 and multiply it times 30, because there's usually, we kind of round and say 30 days per month, and multiply that times 51, which is the total number of months. That comes out to be $6,793.20, okay? Or we could be a little more precise about it, and we can say the total interest gained, there we go, okay, total interest gained is going to be the 4 years, so I'm just using simple interest formula here, 4 times the 30,000, I'm using it out of order, that's okay, same thing, so principal is 30,000, T is 4, rate is 0.054, okay, so that's the 4 years, plus, and then September and November have 30 days, October has 31 days, that's a total of 91 additional days times the $4.44, okay? And that's going to come out to be $6,884.04, okay? So that is the total amount of interest that is added onto her loan while she is in school, because her loan, again, is unsubsidized. Now, that's not the total balance, though, because for the balance, we need to add that back to what she started with, which was the $30,000. So the balance is $36,884.04, okay? So that's how much she owes when that deferment period is over, okay? Now, to find the monthly interest rate, we use the formula, which is, I will go ahead and add on here. Monthly interest rate, or monthly interest payment. Just monthly payment. I was thinking R for rate. Okay, monthly payment is going to be the principal times the rate divided by 12 all over 1 minus the quantity 1 plus r over 12 raised to the negative 120th. The reason we use negative 120, 120 is the standard number of monthly payments on student loans because it's monthly, 12 times total number of 10 years, so that's where the 120 comes from, okay? So anytime you're doing one of these, just assume that it's a standard 10-year loan, okay? So that will be 120. We don't have to change that. So if we plug the 36,884 into that formula as the principal, okay, 36,884.04, okay, times 0.054 over 12, all over 1 minus 1 plus 0.054 over 12 again, to the negative 120th. That comes out to be a monthly payment of $398.46. Give myself some more room here. Okay. All right, so that is her monthly payment. Now, if we want to know how much total interest she is charged over the life of the loan, okay, it's not the same as the $68.84 because even though she has started making payments, interest is still being accrued, okay? So to figure out the total amount of interest that she ends up paying by the end of the 10 years when she pays off her loan, we need to take her monthly payment, multiply it by the number of payments, which again is 120, okay? So 398.46 times 120, okay, which is going to give us $47,815.63. Okay, and then we need to, that's the total amount that she pays. We need to find the total interest. We need to subtract the original amount of $30,000, which gives us $17,815.63. Okay, so by the end of the 10 years, she has paid $17,815.63 in interest. Okay? And with a problem like that, one thing that I really, really recommend is you try to avoid rounding as long as possible. Okay? If you are, let's say, when we're plugging in things for our interest our monthly payment. Okay? Even if we start with this number, okay, if we multiply by 0.054 and divide by 12, we get that number, and then we round it, retype it, okay, and then divide by the denominator, we're going to end up with a number that is slightly different, okay? And the sooner you round, or the more rounding you do in the problem, the further off your answer is, okay? Now, on the midterm, and the same thing goes for the final, on the midterm, if I could see your equation, okay, so if you wrote this right here, you know, if these were your numbers, if you wrote everything right here that we did for R, okay, and then maybe you did something a little bit off computationally, you still would have gotten most of the credit for this problem, okay? Or likewise, let's say that you had the balance wrong, okay? Maybe you had this number wrong, but I could still see where you correctly plugged that in, okay, where you correctly plugged that into the formula for the monthly payment, and everything else was right, and your answer matched what you would have been with the correct balance. I gave you full credit for that if I could see the work, and there are a lot of you that did not show your equations, okay? I know that we are doing this on calculators and not by hand, but you still need to write anything that gets typed into the calculator. That's the showing your work part, okay? So please make sure you're being very thorough on that. Not just so I can follow your work, but because just in case you make a mistake somewhere, I can still give you as much credit as possible for the things that you do right, okay? All right, so just keep that in mind. That's not just with student loans, but with everything, okay? All right, let's look at a home buying example here, okay? There we go. Okay. Buying a home. For this example, a home costs $143,200. The down payment is 10% of that. The mortgage is a 30-year loan fixed at 5%. Okay. First thing we need to do is we need to figure out how much is being financed. In other words, how much do the buyers owe on the home after the down payment. Okay, well, the down payment is 10%, so let's figure out that. So 143,200 times 10% gives us 143,20. Okay, so the down payment is 14,320. Okay, we just did 10% of the total, and then the amount that is being financed is the original amount minus that. Okay, so when we subtract that from the original, we end up with 128,880. Okay, so this is how much is being mortgaged. Okay, now from the table, it did say to use a table for this. Okay, so I'm going to look at the table. All right, and I know that I have a 30-year 5% mortgage. So on the monthly payment per $1,000 of mortgage, I'm going to go down to 5%. Okay, and this is in the book. If you need to look at it, it's in section 8.5. Down to 5%, and I'm going to go across until I hit the 30 years, and those intersect at 5.37. Okay, so from the table, I get $5.37. This is the cost per month per $1,000 of mortgage. Okay, so what I need to do is I need to take that number and I need to multiply it by my mortgage, which is $128,880, but I'm going to divide by 1,000. Okay, or another way to think about that is I could just multiply by 128.88. Okay, which is what you get when you divide by 1,000, because my decimal moves over 3 places. Okay, so we have $5.37. Okay, per $1,000 of mortgage, which is this over 1,000, or like I said, you could just do 128.88. Don't forget the 0.88 though. We don't drop off the end of it. Okay, it just becomes a decimal. It's not just 128 there. Okay, so we multiply that, and that comes out to be $692.09. So that's the monthly payment. Okay. All right, now, just as we did with the installment buying on the car, to find the total cost, we need to take monthly payment. Oh, we did this with student loans also. Multiply it by the total number of payments that are made, and then add the down payment back to that to figure out the total cost of the home. Okay, so monthly payment of $692.09 gets multiplied by, and if we're doing 30 years, that's 30 years at 12 months, or 360 there. Okay, so we take that and we're going to add it to the 14,320 that was our down payment. That comes out to be a total cost of $263,472. Fix that. $72.40 for the total cost of the home. Okay. Don't forget to add the down payment back in there when you're doing total cost. Okay. All right. Last thing, reading stock charts. Most of you did very, very well on this. The reading stock charts is not hard if you have reviewed and you know what everything means. The only thing that I will say on these is for the question, what's the closing price of the stock the day before yesterday? Okay. We need to take the closing price that's in the chart, which means closing price from yesterday, okay? But we need to subtract the change that's also listed in the chart, because we want the day before yesterday, not yesterday, okay? So in the case on the midterm, it was $32.79, okay, was the closing price from the previous day, and the net change was negative 0.25, okay? Negative 0.25, which means it dropped by 25 cents. Okay, so that means if we are subtracting a negative, remember that becomes adding, so we're adding 0.25 to that, we end up with a day before yesterday's closing price of $33.04, okay, because it dropped down 25 cents to $32.79, so we're undoing that drop to figure out what it was the day before, okay? So really that was the only big thing there, only commonly missed question. Shares of the stock that were sold, you have to look at the volumes, except the volumes is in 1,000. So if it says 5,528, it's actually 5,528,000 shares that were sold. Okay, but if you need more practice with the stock stuff. If you look at example 1 from the 8.6 section in the book, it's a great example. It pretty much has all the same types of questions that we saw on the midterm or that you might see on the final exam from reading the stock charts, okay? You're not going to be asked to anything much more complicated than that, just making sure you understand what's in it, okay, if that's on the final. Okay, again, if you have any questions at all, or if you want to see more examples of a certain topic, or if you have more questions about your midterm specifically and you want me to give you information like, you know, which questions you missed or maybe why you got them wrong, if I can find it in your work, then please email me and I will get back to you. Again, please use this email address, okay? This is the one that I check multiple times a day. My SIU email, I do not check quite as often. I don't have that opportunity. So if you want me to get back to you quickly, please use this one, and I will be much more likely to see it sooner and be able to get back to you as soon as I can. Okay? Thanks.